There are some poets and adventurers who are born with a love of the sea. To feel a ship rising beneath their feet, to taste the salt spray and hear the sails shaking before the windsong, these things fill their souls with music. Whether they be born in Maine or Kansas or Arizona, they belong to the sea and she belongs to them. Wherever they begin, someday they will find lanes which lead to her. We, America, a mighty nation, a sea power, our Navy, Coast Guard, and Merchant Marine Services sail the great oceans of the world, protecting sea lanes and bringing American goods to every continent. Yet, for the first 180 years of our existence, we were an enigma among major sea powers. Other nations shuttled their youth off to sea by their mid-teens. But if you were 14 and American, what chance had you of going to sea? Then came the Navy League of the United States with a program which was to open up lanes to the sea for thousands of young Americans. They called it the Naval Sea Cadet Corps, and they set an objective of encouraging American youth who showed an interest in the sea to develop skills in seamanship while at the same time learning courage, self-reliance, and patriotism. The kids call the program Sea Cadets. At 13 years and 9 months, they can become Sea Cadets, and some of them leave it only reluctantly when the arrival of their 18th birthdays puts an end to their cadet careers. Applicants for the Cadet Corps must pass a physical examination equivalent to the one used to screen recruits for the Navy in order to assure their ability to stand up to the rigorous tests of living and working on board ships. For some young Americans, the examination is a bit intimidating. But they are strong, and most of them meet the standards. The education of Sea Cadets is a balanced program of academic subjects and hands-on practical training, which is meant to supplement school, not to supplant it. School, rightfully, is regarded as the cadets' main educational goal. For this reason, the written approval of the school's administration is required before a candidate is accepted. Applicants for the Cadet Corps must be Americans of good moral character, single, and have no record of felony convictions. To stay in the Corps, they must maintain those standards and continue to achieve in school. Before a candidate is accepted, an officer in the Sea Cadet Corps must interview his parents to ensure that they understand the objectives of the program, the training opportunities, and the obligations which the candidate must meet. Often, the commanding officer of the unit conducts these interviews so that he may become personally acquainted with the parents. Sea Cadet officers come from many walks of life. Many of them are businessmen. Some are teachers. Some from the Navy or Naval Reserve. Many of them become involved because their own children were cadets and stayed on later because they discovered rewards for themselves in helping other children. These dedicated and patriotic citizens serve without pay, their compensation being the satisfaction of helping to mold young citizens.
Okay, in this class we're going to discuss lookouts and telephone talkers. We're going to be talking about lookouts first.
Classroom training for the cadet begins immediately upon his acceptance, with instruction being provided by a variety of teachers from the Navy, the Sea Cadet Corps, or by other civilians with special qualifications.
On the surface, in the air, and their main job is to spot and report anything that they happen.
Discipline is essential to the crew of any ship, so Sea Cadets learn discipline by learning military drill. Their teachers, some of the world's most highly regarded authorities on discipline and military drill. The months pass quickly, and when summer recess arrives, the newly recruited cadets head for boot camp at a naval station or recruit training center. To be sure, there are underlying anxieties about the coming weeks. In the eyes of a 14-year-old cadet who may never have been away from home, any change of environment, any new physical challenge presents a threat. Boot camp was designed for 18-year-olds, and the cadet still is shy of 15. He wonders if he will measure up to the challenge. This is the most adult thing he ever has done. Once they are settled in the barracks, the anxiety slackens and they adjust to the routine of barracks living. Beds must be made and shoes shined, for Mom isn't around to tend to those chores for them. For these 2 weeks, the cadets not only have their individual welfare to think of, but the welfare of the whole company. The cadets will rise and go to bed as a company, eat together as a company, and work together as a company. For kids who may never have been part of anything bigger than their own families, it's great to discover how much 50 people can accomplish when they pull together. The spectrum of instruction is broad. It covers not only military drill and nautical subjects, but also hygiene, moral guidance, safety, and leadership. This curriculum amplifies lessons the cadets have been exposed to previously in the Navy's correspondence course on basic military requirements, and serves to prepare them for the responsibility which they must carry from their first steps on board a ship. Instruction follows a tried and true Navy pattern of lecture, demonstration, supervised drill, and practical performance testing. In quick order, the cadets demonstrate that they have learned their lessons well. Boot camp is hard work, but it has its rewards, too. These cadets are being treated to a tour of the River Delta by a special boat unit on some of the nimblest craft on the ocean. graduation day arrives, and the cadets troop before the reviewing stand. These youngsters have proven their mettle. The nervousness of the first day has vanished. They are a little wiser, and self-assuredness shows in their gait and on their faces. Boot camp is ending, but the training of the Sea Cadets has only begun. Advanced training begins for most cadets only a few weeks after graduation from boot camp. It is in this segment that the cadet begins to develop the specialized skills of particular Navy rates.
And secure the belt around your back. Reach down in the flap, called the preserver.
A few years ago, this young petty officer was a cadet himself. His training in the Sea Cadets helped him to reach a position of responsibility early in his career in the Navy. Now, he eagerly passes on his knowledge to cadets only a few years his junior.
The preserver will inflate within 30 seconds.
On rifle ranges, some cadets learn firearm safety under the tutelage of expert Navy instructors. Other cadets may choose to learn different skills. In following the original plans of the ships in order to reconstruct these burned and damaged models, these cadets are learning naval architecture and construction, and model building and woodworking with a bit of American history to boot. A modern Navy has need for many skills, so we have sailors who sail the ships, sailors who fly the airplanes, and sailors who build the advanced bases for ships and aircraft. In CB divisions, Sea Cadets begin developing trades which they will carry with them all of their lives. Hands-on training is vital to the development of skill, but skill must be backed up by an understanding of why things work as they do. To test understanding of theory, advancement exams are held periodically, and those who pass are given greater responsibility in their units. Exams test knowledge of facts, but as a test of skills, what could be better than a competitive meet where cadets of many different units have a chance to vie against each other for honors? At this meet, held in San Diego, performance is judged by members of the Navy and Marine Corps, and honors are awarded for individual performances as well as for team performances. The air is charged with excitement. These teams have been practicing for months, and the competition is keen. A single mistake in any one event can mean the difference in taking home an award or leaving empty-handed. reward for capturing the most points overall is a trophy made from the wheel of a destroyer. But more important than the trophy is the self-confidence developed in the cadets who participated. There are no losers at flagship competition, for merely having competed there is success that few other youngsters can match. Advanced training aboard small craft and ships of the Navy and Coast Guard continues during recesses from school. The cadet hones the skills which he has developed through months of supervised practice. When the cadet reports on board, he is given assignments and expected to shoulder his load like anyone else in the crew. Except for his size and the distinctive Sea Cadet emblem on his clothes, it would be hard to pick him out of the ship's regular complement. Generally, he spends 2 weeks on a given vessel and then moves on to a vessel of a different class to broaden his experience. The number of cruises he makes is limited mostly by the length of his recess from school. If he takes full advantage of the program, by the end of his second summer, the cadet can brag of having been to sea on more different types of vessels than most sailors get in 2 hitches in the Navy. For a hand-picked few cadets who show unusual aptitude and high motivation, special training is available. Every year since 1974, the Coast Guard has carried a few cadets on cruises aboard icebreakers venturing into the frozen waters of the Antarctic Circle. These cadets live on board ship and work beside the crew 7 days a week for up to 5 months at a stretch. They stand watches at the helm, handle helos on the flight deck, and repair machinery in the engine room. Their only activity, which varies from the crews, is that they are required to spend time every week studying materials supplied by their schools back in the U.S. As one of them put it, even at the South Pole, there's no escape from homework. For other cadets, chosen with equal care, there is a very different challenge: the Navy's Basic Underwater Demolition School. This school, acknowledged to be one of the toughest in the world, has been the finishing course for hundreds of frogmen and SEALs. The rigorous physical demands on the cadets have caused this portion of Sea Cadet training to remain strictly a male domain. which demands athletic ability and tremendous physical stamina. But mental toughness is even more important. Survival is the main lesson to be learned here. The cadets learn quickly that just because they are dirty, wet, cold, and exhausted and under constant harassment, it doesn't mean they're going to die. They have a well of strength beyond the limits which they had imagined. When they learn to tap the well, they find strength, confidence, and pride. One of the more interesting aspects of survival is this class in ground-proofing. A captured American frogman earned his place in history by escaping his captors, diving out of a boat, and swimming several miles to safety with his hands and feet bound. The Navy was quick to learn an object lesson from this event, so now everyone who passes through this school must learn to swim with his hands and feet bound behind him. As they grapple with each challenge, the cadets grow in self-confidence. But of all the challenges, the most exhilarating is to be pulled into a speeding boat by a teammate. One by one, they are plucked from the water until all of them are safely recovered. They are nearly exhausted, but exhilaration overcomes their fatigue. They have bested their own fears and emerged proud of the victory. Experiences such as these make profound changes in the life of a youngster. Petty Officer Mike Kershaw, now a Navy SEAL, speaks about his experience in the Sea Cadets.
I gained out of the Sea Cadets a sense of leadership at an age and a lot of growth and maturing. Sea Cadets helps you learn a new trade and meet new friends. You also see a lot more of the world than you would normally. While in the Sea Cadets, I learned about SEAL Team 1. This was the main factor for me to join the Navy and the main factor that is going to cause me to stay in and have the Navy as a career.
Now the verbal is rather difficult because it looks like a verb and has certain qualities that a verb has, and yet it does not act as a verb in a sentence, and this can be very confusing to students. Ms. St. Charles, could you tell me what the different types of verbals are?
The infinitive is to plus a verb, and it's used as a subject or a complement.
Former Sea Cadet Valerie St. Charles, along with hundreds of other young sailors, is repeating some of her high school studies in an accelerated course designed to raise their college entrance scores.
When I first heard about Sea Cadets, it was when my older brother joined. And then I was in for about 4.5 years. And being around the Navy so much, it just became natural for me to be around people that were in the Navy doing Navy things, taking orders. Then I realized one day, shockingly, that it wasn't going to be all Sea Cadets anymore. I couldn't become a professional cadet, and I decided I wanted to join the Navy. I realized that Sea Cadets had helped me a great deal personally when I first joined the Navy in boot camp. And I realized how much leadership it had given me. Before I joined, I didn't have the guts to be able to make decisions that I have to stand by, responsibility and discipline. And I realize now that I have that all from cadets. I wanted to go to Annapolis, but because of scores in school, I couldn't get in this past year. I applied to Boost and was accepted, and I'm now taking this alternative course to the academy. I've been far ahead of other people that have been in my class because I already had the discipline when I came into the Navy.
Butch Morgan, outstanding Sea Cadet, outstanding student, outstanding young American. His mother says he has but 2 goals in life: to go to Annapolis and, later, to become president. Sea Cadet Morgan already seems to have found his lane to the sea. As far as the second goal is concerned, well, We'll just have to wait and see.